Welcome to the Hotties and Horror Movies podcast, where your hottie hosts, Sanka and Wendy, break down their weekly horror movie binge.
Hey!
Hello, hello. It is the Hotties and Horror Movies podcast with Wendy and Sanka. Hey guys, how you going? How's your week been?
So, welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, we assume. Today we are watching The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And I'll tell you, it was an experience. It was exhausting and...
Correct.
But it was a good movie. So we hope today's podcast will be a lot of fun for everyone because we actually liked the movie we watched, unlike last time.
Listening back to the previous podcast, you can tell we hated every minute of that movie. Like, every minute.
Oh, yeah.
But if you didn't listen to the previous podcast, please go back to episode 1, The Girl on the Third Floor, and have a quick listen to that. I say quick listen, that fucking podcast was almost 2 hours long. But anyway, have a quick listen of that. You can tell that we absolutely hated it. Like Sanka said, we actually really bloody enjoyed this movie.
We did.
I did not expect to do that.
Yeah.
Because...
I had high hopes for the Conjuring movies. I didn't know if it was going to live up to the hype of the first one because that was my favorite. I really enjoyed that movie. I wasn't sure how this one was going to go down, whether they were going to get lazy or, just wasn't going to be as good as the originals. But it was actually surprisingly really good.
No, I really enjoyed it as well. And usually, as you guys will learn with us in this journey of podcasting, is I usually don't have hope for most horror movies. Sanka and I have watched quite a bit, so now we just predict a lot of stuff. Whereas in this one, I do have to admit, I was flawed. They ate me up. They left me speechless at times because the turns that we went through that movie, I did not expect it, but I'm very glad I did not expect things that happen because it made it much more enjoyable. Because, all horror movies have the standard format. This one, it still had its same sort of standardish format, but the twists and turns were worth it. It was worth it being almost 2 bloody hours long. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was long, yes, but it did have a really good story. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. The difference with this one from the first 2 Conjurings was those 2 were very much haunted house movies. They're very much about the haunted house itself. This one was more about, occult and satanic rituals and that kind of stuff. It was more about the, I suppose, it wasn't possession. It was, what did they call it?
Curses,
Yeah. Someone being cursed. So it was a little bit different in that respect, but still was a Conjuring movie. We obviously had the Warrens in it, and it was a great story.
Yeah, like Sanka said, the very 2 first Conjuring movies that had the Warrens in it, and I think when Sanka and I are referring to the Conjuring movies, we really do refer to the ones with the Warrens in it, not all the side quest movies for explanations. The first 2 was definitely much, someone becoming possessed or getting possessed by something, whereas this one was, I think we enjoyed this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sanka, I think the reason we really enjoyed it, it really played into how terrible human beings can be and what they're willing to do. And I think that's what made it more believable, because human beings are trash, me included. But it was really enjoyable in the sense that it wasn't just a normal possession. Someone was going to the effort to really do something bad. And then it made it, it wasn't just simple for the Warrens this time to be like, oh yeah, exorcism, demon possession. They really had to actually work this one out. They really had to go, oh, hold up, this is not the standard textbook possession. What is happening here?
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah,
it was good. And also then we had a law part of it also, where they the guy was on trial and for a murder that he committed. So we don't usually get to see that side of things either. And I think looking back at the actual true story part of this, that was actually the first time in a law case that someone had claimed possession as, a reason for a murder.
Yeah.
So it was, a little bit revolutionary in that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. But I will say, side note, I do not like horror movies that end with based on a true story. Fuck all of that, straight up. I don't enjoy that one bit.
Oh, and
if
at
that's
the end
based
of
on a
this
true
one,
story, I don't want no parts.
as with all of the Conjuring movies, at the end we were played some tapes from the original recordings.
With the Warrens,
And
yeah.
I really could have done without that.
Honestly, it was
it
too
was
much.
horrifying.
Like we were already reeling from the movie, like the twists and the turns and the ups and the downs. Like we'll discuss it in the podcast, obviously, but we had where our butt cheeks were clenched, and then they on top of that they added like the tapes from the original Warrens and what they recorded. And I was over it. I was tired. I was like, oh my God, my anxiety was through the roof. I
It
was
was
like, we felt cold afterwards. We were like freezing. I mean, it's winter now.
I was so happy to have the movie over, and I just started to relax, like in the 30 seconds after. And then they showed us that, and I was like, oh, what? This is not needed for my anxiety levels.
Literally, we were just mouth open, staring at each other like in horror as these tapes were playing. And you know what? There's something a bit more sinister about the actual tapes.
Yeah.
Than like a movie recording tape. You know what I mean? Like the actual tapes, there's just something so sinister about them.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right.
Nuts.
Let's get into it. Let's get into discussing The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Okay, so this movie pretty much went from 0 to 100 from the start. There was no slowly leading us in or introducing us to characters or anything like that. Just straight away went into madness. So we see that Ed and Lorraine are called into a home of an 8-year-old boy named David, who has been experiencing demonic activity. Basically possession, everything that goes with that.
Yeah.
There's a few other people in the house there, namely his sister Debbie and her boyfriend Arnie, which we will talk about a little bit later. But basically the home is really already messed up, and there's already a priest there. They're trying to do an exorcism on the boy. At some point I think they take a break, and the boy goes off to his bedroom by himself, ridiculously. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But he starts, seeing things and hearing things in there. And he decides to go and hide in the bathroom in a bathtub that is surrounded by a, what is it called? A shower curtain, yeah. Which to me is the most stupidest place to hide. Shower curtains scare me anyway, just in normal everyday life. Exactly. I don't know why, if you're seeing demons, you would decide to go hide in a bathtub.
Honestly.
It's beyond me.
Creepy shit. Bathrooms are creepy as is.
Yeah, oh gosh. And then we see that creepy hand over the top of it, just trying to, get to him.
Literally my worst nightmare is like, because the thing is, people, like, showers are such a vulnerable base to be because you're already naked.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's just like, showers just creepy in general. It's just, oh no, it's, yeah, no, hate showers, hate horror movies that take place in showers, but yeah, anyway, continue. Yeah,
so eventually the boy gets so scared he starts screaming, and everyone rushes into his room to see what's going on. And then they grab him and decide they have to do the exorcism tonight. They can't wait, it has to be done now. So they take him downstairs, he's kicking, screaming, scratching the walls. Everything's going on. He's obviously very clearly possessed. They can see it in his eyes and everything. And yeah, it's just complete chaos down there. The priest is trying to, do his whole exorcism thing, and Ed, I think, is also shouting some stuff. In the midst of it all, Lorraine gets some kind of vision of, what was it? She was getting flashes of like cult-like items and, an altar and all that stuff,
Mm.
which was a little bit strange because we didn't know where the movie was going at the time.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense now. But yeah,
Lorraine
basically is a... Yeah, sorry?
I was going to say, because Lorraine already has visions every time she does an exorcism, and we've always just had it like the demon doing doing the demon things, like, trying to talk to them and stuff. Whereas this time, her having like a flashback to a room that like someone was actively trying to do something, and like like Sanka say, it was all like occultist shit. It was all like devil stuff, like cups with crap in it. So yeah, that was very interesting. I really like that little touch they added there.
So yeah, there's lots of chaos and everything going around, and then I believe there's a struggle between the little boy and Ed, and he's talking about stopping his heart and trying to kill him and all that. And the boyfriend, Arnie, he then grabs the little boy and says straight into his face, "Oh, leave him alone, take me," something along those lines, inviting the demon into himself rather than letting him possess the boy, which, biggest no-no ever.
Yeah, and pisses off Ed because Ed's just like, "What are you doing? Like, shut up!"
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
this movie.
It worse. Honestly, this movie, my man Ed was going through it. He really was. My man's was going through it this entire film. But yeah, no, old mate just decided to welcome demon into his body, and he's just like, "What?" Ed's just like, "Shut up!"
Yeah, stop talking.
Oh god.
But yeah, somehow I don't know what happened to Ed. I think the demon did something to him, and I think he ended up in a coma actually for a few days.
Yeah, I think he stopped it. Like, I think he had a heart attack. Like the the demon or whatever slowed down his heart, like banged on his chest so hard or whatever it did that it slowed down his heart so much that he was having like a heart attack. So yeah.
So he ended up in a coma for a while, and was out of it. But then after the whole scenario with Arnie, the demon kind of went away. It didn't straight away go and possess Arnie himself. It just kind of went away, and apparently everyone else just thought, it's done now. It's just gone, and everyone carried on with their lives, which was a little bit strange to me. I didn't think I could do that, but
nope, not at all.
But yeah, then we flash to like the hospital, and eventually Ed wakes up and Lorraine is there with him,
and their daughter. You got to remember they have a daughter.
Yes, she made a brief appearance.
Yeah.
But when he does wake up, he tells Lorraine that they have to tell Arnie and the kids they're not safe. The demon's got a hold of him. Something's going to happen. So Lorraine's frantically trying to call the police and tell them, I don't know, I can't tell you how I know this, but something's going to happen at the house. You have to get there.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, on the other side of the world, wherever Arnie and Debbie are living, he starts to see certain things. Like, I think there was a cereal box that got knocked over or something. And then he starts hallucinating a little bit with the other guy. I think his name was Bruno, who runs the dog boarding. I don't know, what is it?
Like a kennel holiday home. Yeah, like a kennel holiday home. Where his girlfriend, the daughter of the family, Debbie, she actually works for this kennel dude as well. So Arnie and her live at this place this guy owns, and they live there for free while, he technically doesn't work there, but she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Arnie starts hallucinating, and somehow he sees Bruno as some kind of, I don't know, demonic, monstrous entity. And he thinks it's someone he has to protect himself and his girlfriend from. So he ends up eventually killing him, and I think stabbing him 22 times, was it?
Yeah, it was 22 times.
Yeah, that's a bit nuts.
Just a bit.
And
he's
then
well
he
done at that
ends
point.
Yeah.
He's well done. He's done. He's finished.
And then he ends up walking down the street covered in blood and gets pulled over by a policeman eventually. I don't know, he's got a strange look in his eyes.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, then later he's in a interrogation room. They're questioning him, and Ed and Lorraine are there also, and they're trying to convince the policeman, whoever's there in the room, that Arnie was possessed. It was something demonic that had him, that it couldn't have been him that actually killed Bruno. And yeah, safe to say no one was really believing them.
Yeah.
When the part that really made us laugh is Arnie's lawyer. She obviously wasn't believing them and said, I can't argue a case like this. I can't claim he's possessed. And so Ed and Lorraine say to her, come to our house. We'll show you a few things. And we're sure that you will believe in possession after this.
Yeah.
And the scene just goes black from there and then cuts to everyone in the courthouse and the face of his lawyer, and she just looks so shaken up.
No, legit, because that's what I mean. So in the interrogation room, because obviously, in the court of law, you can't, saying that someone was possessed into doing murder is a very fast stretch. Even if that did happen, fortunately, you do still have to be accountable for your actions. So regardless, he was going to get charged with something. It was just the severity of his judgment, of his, what he was going to be, what he was going to be charged with, whether he was going to get the death sentence or for life, anything like that. So when they're in the interrogation room, they're making him, and this is where I think I started to get more interested in the plot, was that they were making him read the Bible, had holy water in front of him, had the cross in front of him. And usually when you are, even if the demon is under the surface, it still gets pulled up by all of those holy and biblical figures and words. And Arnie was not reacting to any of it. And so they were confused. They're like, okay, well, he's got nothing in him now. So it's like, he was definitely possessed before, but now he's not possessed. And so obviously the Warrens want to prove that, yes, he killed someone. We understand that, but, we can say that he wasn't in his correct mind. Like, something had him. And then the lawyer, and to be fair, you've got to give the lawyer props. Like, she's dealing in factual law. That's what she's dealing with. You're not in law. You can't have gray areas. It's either you didn't or you do, and you've got to prove either in prosecution and defense. So in her being the defense lawyer, what does she really have? Like, the man stabbed him, verbatim. The girlfriend says that he stabbed him. He admits to stabbing him 22 times. Like, it's all factual. He did it. It's there.
Yeah.
And so the Warrens are trying to be like, the Warrens are trying to ease back and be like, okay, look, but let's prove, let's lighten his sentence. We know he's going to get sentenced, but let's try and lighten it. And then, again, in her defense, she's like, she has to deal with law, not like, believe in God. They make a good point, like, in courts, you have to swear on the Bible. So it's like, well, the courts already believe in the Bible because you're swearing on the Bible to not lie, which is a good point. Now think about it. I'm atheist. I'll lie on that Bible every day of the week. Like, I don't need that Bible finna do nothing to me. It not. But yeah, like Sanka said, they were like, okay, let us show you some stuff. And they specifically mentioned Annabelle.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. Like, we looked at each other when, Ed was like, okay, let us introduce you to Annabelle. And we were like, Ed was going straight for the jugular, because if you've watched the Annabelle movies, 1s or 2s or 3s or 4s, how many bloody Annabelle movies there is, that little doll is fucked up. Fucked up. So, and then, so Sank and I, because we're watching each other watch the film, on FaceTime, we look at each other and we're like, oh shit. And then as Sanka says, it cuts to that screen. Like you said, this woman is stressed. She is shaken. She has seen things that she was not prepared to see. She said
she looked like she aged 10 years.
10 years. She was dragged through hell. And you know what's so funny? You've just got Ed and Lorraine in the background, like, And, you know, it was just, we burst out laughing because it's true. Like, if you don't deal with the stuff on a daily basis, you're not going to believe that it's real. Yeah. And then, like, Miss just needed 10 minutes with Annie and she was ready to add demonic possession to the case. She was like, sir, demonic possession straight away. It was funny. And then it just got scary from it. Actually, that's when it stopped being funny and turned into, like, action proper horror. Obviously, you know, we had some jump scares before, but that's when it actually started to get, I think dark is the correct term I would use. Like, dark. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
So the Warrens decide they can't really do much for him at the moment. They need to first go and discover how David himself got possessed so that they could, you know, try and trace that back, and then maybe they can find a solution for Arnie and get rid of it. Or, well, at the moment he's not technically possessed because, you know, he's still himself, so they're not really sure what's going on.
Yeah.
So they go back to the family, and they go back to the house, and they discover when they first moved into the house, there was a waterbed that was in David's room. I don't know why people buy houses with furniture that's left over from previous owners. Like,
yeah,
I could never do that.
Nope. Could it be me?
And a waterbed of all things. It was just so creepy.
Waterbeds are so filthy as well. Like, disgusting.
Yeah.
And murky water. Just blah, blah, blah. Disgusting. Just chilling.
Gross.
With the fibers of people. In coronavirus times. Disgusting. With that moisture. Disgusting. Like, no. Get it out.
But then, so David was playing on the waterbed itself, and there was a scene where he was laying down and the camera was above him, and then you could see a face coming through just behind him through the waterbed. It's very creepy. I'm probably going to dream about that tonight. I know it.
Same.
And then he, you know, tries to get off the bed a little bit, and then something grabs him from out of the waterbed, grabs onto his leg. He jumps off, screaming, crying. Everyone runs in at that point just to see, you know, there's a puncture in the waterbed and the boy is a bit wet.
Exactly.
And no one really believed him. They just thought, you know, he was messing around and just punctured it himself and, you know, made a mess. But yeah, he kind of knew there was something wrong. So they got rid of the waterbed, and his sister was saying there was water damage on the floor from the bed. So Ed, of course, lifts up a rug just to see the water damage, and it was definitely not water damage.
No, that shit was rotten, my good sis. It was rotten. It
was nasty.
Disgusting. Ugh. Water damage. It was moist and sticky. Like, disgusting.
Yeah, no. Ugh. It was like an extra layer on top of the wood. It wasn't even... Like... I don't know.
It's like demon jizz. It was like tar-like, right? It was like a tar, which, you know, instantly in my head, I'm like, demons, but, you know, well, I see tar randomly in a house. You know, me, the demon hunters, like, you know, we just know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So this is where Ed and Lorraine start thinking, you know, there must be something more to this. So, of course, they have to go under the house. Of course. Lorraine crawls under there. There's a bunch of rats, like a lot of rats. And then there was something covered up by like a pillowcase or something just covered. And we thought maybe it was like a hand or a head or, you know, honestly, some part of a body.
I was bracing myself for her to get grabbed by like a hand or some shit, because the way that sheet was like covering whatever we're about to reveal comes up. I said, she's going to get choked under that house. Like, a hand is just going to come up and just grab her right in the throat. And at this point, remember, Ed's had a heart attack. So he can't be crawling down there with her. So he's got a cane. Like, that's how bad the heart attack was. He's got to take medication and stuff. So she's just, like, crawling around there by herself. The daughter doesn't get down there with her. I don't know why. She can't have backup because Lorraine and Ed have this terrible habit of splitting up and then bad things happen. So I don't know why they haven't learnt from that in their 30 years of marriage. Like, take someone with you.
Every time they split up.
every time they're not close to each other, something bad happens to either one of them. And so it's like, so Ed's having to stand out there because he can't crawl around under the bloody house. Also, side note, you Americans and your underhouses and your basements and you stop that. You don't need all that shit. Stop over consumer. You don't need an attic, 2 stories of house, or even a story of house and a basement. Let's relax. Please. Let's relax. But yeah, so she's crawling around and then, you know, she finds what she's about to find. Disgusting.
Which is a witch's totem under the house, just under the room where David was a witch's totem. It's very creepy.
Very creepy.
Yeah.
And like, as soon as she snatched that sheet off that thing, I was like, it's juju, straight up. It's juju, voodoo, hoodoo. It's all of the things. I was like, oh no, that's man-made. That is right there. That is a man-made device of demonic destruction. That's what that is. Ugh, gross.
Yep.
Had like horns and bones and stuff. I was like, I know black magic when I see black magic. And that's when I knew it's gonna get interesting. It's about to get very interesting. Oh my god.
Well, we found out how David got possessed. Obviously, he wasn't the one, you know, trying to get possessed. It was planted there under the house for someone to find. Yeah.
Raggedy bitch.
So per the priest, I can't remember his name. Honestly, I didn't care. But he suggested, the father. He suggested they go and visit a former priest. I think the other guy was the priest.
Yeah, so Father Gordon told them to go find Father Kashner, who has retired.
There we go. Yeah, so he used to study things about the occult. I think it was called the Disciples of the Ram or something that he brought down. And he just suggested, you know, if anyone's going to know about this stuff, he will. Points them in the right direction and they go off and talk to him. Now, this man is very creepy. Just as soon as I saw him, I was like, I'm not sure about this guy. There's just something a little bit off there.
We had the tingles of this is not correct. Yeah.
But, you know, he seems nice enough, calls him in, they have a little chat. And he takes him downstairs to his own little room of horrors. And what surprised me, for the first time going down into a creepy space, Lorraine says, I don't want to go down there. Which is like a clear red flag.
No, legit. If Lorraine is saying she don't want to go somewhere creepy, and you got to remember this woman be doing the most when it comes to, she gets into places where I would not even dream of putting a toe. And if she is saying I don't want to go down there, I said red flags.
Something is off.
Red flags. And then the scene where he's like, they're like, oh, what's down here? And then he's like, the reason you came. And the way he was made to look for like the 2 seconds, I was like, I'm suspicious. This one is a weirdo. This one can't do all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they open the door into my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's just basically a room full of books and occult items. Oh, I don't even know how to describe everything in there. It was...
Yeah, so I think this particular father, he specialized in studying Satanist and like cults and occults and, you know, what they used, why they used it, and gathered like cursed relics or books that people use to do like their black magic from. And that was his job for years and years and years and years. And so pretty much he has like the Satanist occult version of what the Warrens have in their house. You know how the Warrens have their little demonic room, their little, you know, collector's room of possessed nonsense. And so his version is like occult. And I think the reason I just realized that now, that Lorraine would have been freaked out more is because a possessed item, that item, whatever's attached to it, remains in that item.
Yeah.
Whereas a cultist item, if you don't finish, one day you guys will find out how I know all this stuff, but today's not today. With all that stuff, like especially with cults, is that when doing those rituals, if you don't close them off properly, a lot of those items can still have remaining curses, can still be open to other people being possessed if touched. Like, so I can understand, especially with her gift, like when she touches things, she can feel things, see things, go back in the past, relive things. That sort of situation is very dangerous to her because it can, like, those things can call to her and try and get her to touch them or interact with them to kind of be reactivated again. So I understand why Sis was bugged out, because I would be too. Like, I would be too.
Yep, for sure.
Mm.
So later on, they get a call from one of the police officers who tells them about another couple of best friends who one of them disappeared and one of them was stabbed also 22 times, and the other one was never found. So he says to them that a totem was also found at the girl's house, which was the same.
No, at the college, because she lived all the way elsewhere. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so it's at the college found the totem, and the two best friends were, I think they were in like Massachusetts or something. I can't say it properly, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the best friends was stabbed, and then Ed and Lorraine go out there to the location where it happened. And Lorraine basically does her thing, goes into, whatever space she goes into and reenacts what happened.
Yeah.
So one of, the two girls talking, and then one of them stabbing the other one, and then ended up running off. Runs to the cliff, which drops down into a dam.
Yeah.
And Lorraine almost runs off the cliff herself while she was possessed.
Lorraine almost got
not possessed, but,
Yeah. And side note,
space.
we also got to remember, my man dem Ed, he's still on heart pills, bruh. This man is trying to run after her, and he is suffering. Like, his heart is pumping. Okay, he's about to faint. He's about to faint.
Oh, through the whole movie, you thought Ed was just gonna drop dead. You thought he was done. But yeah, she's running off, almost jumps off the cliff, manages to come back to herself just before getting off the cliff. And just as she's about to turn away and move over, something grabs her by the ankle and pulls her down. Oh. Luckily, Ed was there, dives in after her and grabs her, manages to pull her back up.
Yeah.
Which was pretty awful. But that's what leads Lorraine to believe that the girl's body is actually down there in the dam. And so they have the police officers, search down there again. Eventually they do find her body, which is, pretty disturbing.
And the thing is, it was a trade-off as well, for Lorraine and Ed to get information that they needed, to help out Arnie. They agreed to help the officers with this. And I'm sorry, I don't think that's a fair trade, considering what Lorraine has to go through. And they kind of mock her a little bit. Like, they're like, prove which one, and then Ed's obviously very protective, where he's going, my wife's gift isn't a party trick, da-da-da-da. She does it anyway to prove a point. But I just think the trade-off of what they got versus what Lorraine and Ed got is very insignificant. Like, she has to actually, I don't know how this woman has a good night's sleep, because honestly the things that she sees with her gift and the trade-off she has to have with her gift is insane to me. Them getting some case files, were the case files even useful? I don't remember if the case files were even useful.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think so.
Yeah, the only bit of information that they had that helped was the location of where she was and where she lived.
Yeah, I think that helped them narrow down then how to find them.
Oh, it did actually, to find out the plot twist of later on. That will come, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a fair trade. Personally.
No, not at all. Putting both of their lives in danger? Not really, no. So, on the other side of town, where Arnie is in prison, I don't know if it was prison or wherever he was, Debbie says that he is having weird thoughts. He was talking to the kid and her at like visiting hours, and he was having weird thoughts and being told that he should harm himself or kill himself. So they get him put onto suicide watch, and he gets put into a cell by himself. And then one of the priests or counselors or someone that works there in the prison comes over and gives him a small glass bottle full of holy water, which completely
was
stupid.
Dumb. Why was it glass, man? Why did you give a prisoner glass? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. On suicide watch, you should have just given him like a plastic bottle. Why did it have to is the glass holy as well? Does the holy water need to be in a holy glass containment? Like, what? Like, and I have to give it to my man Arnie. He was thinking straight up until that last minute, because, you know, he did what most people wouldn't. He did a holy water circle and sat himself in it, and I was like, oh, that's better than what most people do. I have to give it to you. I have to give it to that belief. But yeah, how dumb, giving someone on suicide watch a glass bottle of holy water. I thought he was actually gonna skull the holy water. Personally.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
Like, have the holiness within you, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh. Well,
anyway, yeah, so Arnie's in prison, chilling.
Yeah, chilling, trying to survive.
Trying not to commit suicide.
So Ed and Lorraine go on to another little side quest. They go to the funeral home to go and find Jessica's corpse to try and get a connection so that Lorraine can, you know, see what's going on, you know, see what happened to her.
Oh my God.
It was awful. So they break into this funeral home and they go and find a body. Lorraine holds her hand and tries to connect to the occult lady.
Because it was the body of the girl they'd found in the lake that was related to the crimes. Yeah, so she had to hold on to her slimy hand.
Ugh. Oh, it was so gross.
That actress is better than me because I couldn't have done it. Lorraine better than me because I wouldn't have touched that for $250,000, much less a couple of films. But yeah, so she touches it and then, oh God, hell just...
So Lorraine ends up seeing the occult lady. I don't really know what to call her. Occultist? Is that the right? She ends up seeing her and she's doing some kind of ritual over an altar. And eventually Lorraine realizes that the connection actually goes both ways. And that the lady can also see her and, you know, touch her and do whatever she wants to her.
Which I've always thought that would be the given, because in the other two movies, the demons like look at her while she's looking at them. So I was like, wouldn't someone who's like a high level occultist priestess or priest, whatever, wouldn't they be able to also feel that? So they end up having a bit of a chat. Girly, you know, a girly catch up.
Meanwhile,
through connection.
Poor Ed. So Lorraine can't talk to Ed. She's trying to tell him, but she's not actually speaking in her, you know, through her mouth. And poor Ed, the lights go off, and one of the other bodies there at the funeral home gets, I don't know, animated. I don't know what the right word for it.
Yeah.
But starts coming at him, and it's very, very creepy looking.
No, guys, you need to understand what we went through, okay? The lights went out. Ed went to turn them fucking lights back on, okay? Lorraine was busy having her telepathy chat with old mate occultist. Ed is still walking, crippled, heart attack on the horizon by the minute, okay? This man turns honestly, this man turns the light on, and in behind him in the distance we can see a figure. He turns around and it is the corpse, the reanimated corpse of like, and this is not a little corpse. This is a big man.
It was huge. He was almost
huge man.
like the Hulk.
He was at least 6'2". I'm not even saying 6'2". He had a big ass belly. If anyone is a gamer, you Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead 2, the boomer. That's what that mofo looked like. He had a big old stomach. He had long hair. He was frightful. Okay, and he was dead and slimy, disgusting. And then he turns around and charges, not on my mandem's Ed, charges at Lorraine to try and, like, obviously kill her, to stop whatever nonsense is happening. And it's obviously reanimated by the cult lady. Ed has had to run. Remember, my man's Ed is still suffering. He's still heart attack around the corner, having to leap and run to Lorraine, get her out of the way. Which helps break the connection from, you know, the dead girl's hand that she's holding on to. And then this thing literally about to lunge at Lorraine just stops being animated because the connection's gone, and then just hits its dead big ass head on the table that the other dead body's on, and then just slides down to the ground. Oh my god, we were horrified. We were traumatized. We had been assaulted visually.
It was awful. But the way his head hit the counter, and he just
crunching
dropped.
of his head hitting the counter, and then like the noise he made before lunging, like running towards, you know, and a man that big should not run. The way that corpse ran, it was some Left 4 Dead shit. It was really some Left 4 Dead zombies are finna take us out shit. Honestly, oh my god. Just, the crunch and the noise is disgusting. Ew. Ugh. We were, like, at that point, I was over it. I was like, I've actually had enough. And we still had 40 minutes, guys. We still had 40 minutes of movie. And I was like, I'm done. We could end it right here and I'd be happy. They lose. Just let the Warrens lose this round.
I was so tired at that point. Like, I'd been clenching every muscle in my body, just like, from stress. I was like, I am so over this. Like, what more is there? Can we just stop?
And that's what I mean. Like, we kind of left out some, you know, key parts, like the way Arnie killed. We didn't talk about Bruno. No. That's who he killed. The dog kennel guy's name was Bruno. But we didn't even talk about how he came at us, because I thought that shit was scary. No. I thought that was long forgotten when that big ass boomer went straight for Lorraine. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I almost pissed myself. I really did. I did. And then remember, it's not animated. On the ground, its head's like sort of turned as it's landed. Ugh. And then the eyeball, so the lady is still obviously controlling it somehow, and the eyeball just turns like all the way to the side to look at the Warrens. And I said, Jesus Christ. My entire body, the hairs on my body just stood up. My butt cheeks were clenched. Okay, I was I was cold. I was going cold. I was like, disgusting. Like, I was over it. And then we checked the time, 40 minutes left. I was like, what more could you do to me? What more is there? But there was more. Unfortunately,
there was lots more, as we found out.
Oh, take it away, Senko. Take it away. Oh, my butt cheeks.
All right, so we go next to, I think we're possibly back at their house. At first I thought it was like a hotel, but now I'm not really sure.
House.
Yeah. And they were, you know, going through all of the case files and talking about everything. And suddenly Ed passes out. He just drops to the floor, passes out. And when he wakes up, he's alone in his bedroom, on the bed, wakes up, no one else is around, and he walks out and the front door is wide open. There's something going on. And then behind him is the occultist lady standing there, and she gives him some kind of warning. I can't remember what she said exactly, but she was threatening him.
You're so very close. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, guess who's back?
Back again.
The big fat naked corpse is back in his house and charges at him.
And then obviously, you know, because Ed's a bad bitch, we need to remember, even though man is one lick away from a heart attack, he's a bad bitch. You know, he starts fighting back. He's like, no, you're not going to run through my house and I'm not going to defend it. Little did we know, poor Ed was possessed. Just a little bit.
Yeah. So
just a tiny bit.
He was also seeing things. He was obviously thinking he was charging at the corpse, but it was actually Lorraine that he was charging.
Lorraine.
Yeah. But, the other guy managed to, break the trance before he did any damage, luckily.
Yeah.
And this leads them to believe that there was something planted in the house or in their space by the occultist that is causing him, that's maybe another totem or something like that. So they're going around looking around the house, and turns out there were some flowers that were delivered earlier in the day that were fresh but now are rotted. And in the actual vase was another totem. So our buddy Ed had been marked by the occultist, which was not a great time.
Yeah.
So next, guess what they do? They split up. Lorraine goes off to talk to the other retired priest guy.
Retired priest, yeah.
And he takes her down into the basement where we find out our bombshell. So he pulls out a little photo album and is showing her some photos and talking about how he had a daughter, and he was so obsessed with all of the occult stuff that it kind of trickled down into her, but rather than following in his footsteps, she instead got like crazy about it and she got involved in it and wanted to do it. She became obsessed with it.
She was interested in the dark arts, the black magic herself.
Yeah. So
rightly so. Lorraine was pissed because we were just here 10 minutes ago, and you couldn't have told us all this then.
Yeah.
Delusional old bastard. Not him talking about, I thought she was coming back to me. Coming back to the house that has all the demonic stuff that she uses for all her stuff in. Have some common sense, bruh. Have some common sense. What do you mean she's coming back to you? She's coming back to the catacombs of her home with all the demonic stuff.
Yeah. But then he also tells Lorraine that under the house is a series of tunnels and catacombs, which that's where her altar is. But then they hear footsteps upstairs, and they obviously realize that the occultist is in the house. And so Lorraine goes down into the tunnels, and he locks the door behind her to try and keep her out, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know, give her a bit of a head start maybe. And ultimately he just gets his throat slit. That was a quick end to him.
Meanwhile, Ed has figured out that the train line that Lorraine was hearing and the water that she was hearing, there was literally just one area where all of those things could happen, and he realized that it was the priest's house. So he goes, poor man goes driving straight up to get him, tries to get the other guy to call the police. He gets there,
and
he can't
leaves
get
his
into
pills
the
at home.
Huh?
He leaves his pills at home.
Oh yeah, he leaves his medicine at home, which we've got a nice view shot of that. Idiot. And then he gets to the house, he can't get in. He can hear Lorraine screaming because where the catacombs underneath, they've got vents and stuff, so he can hear her screaming. So he breaks a lock and gets into the tombs, and then and then that's when the bullshit. The final round begins.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile,
side note,
prison,
and old girl does come home because she knows that her dad's done total secret. She done killed her daddy straight up, no remorse. She definitely was the boogie oogies because she took one step into the shadows and then was suddenly behind his ass and cocked that neck and he was dead. Not even cocked that neck, she slit that throat.
Just straight away. It took all of 2 seconds.
Yep.
Back at the prison, Arnie is again starting to become possessed, and he's, doing all the body contorting and all of that stuff. And I think there was a father there with him trying to, do an exorcism again, and the girlfriend is there as well. But, nothing's really going to plan there. And yeah, it's starting to get out of control again, windows breaking, all that kind of stuff. He starts floating also. Very strange. But yeah, that's just going on in the background. So while Ed and Lorraine are kind of trying to fight this occultist lady, she's also possessing him, while also giving Ed some hallucinations as well, which is not great. She's very good at multitasking, though.
I was gonna say, I would hire her. She seems to be able to, multi-manage some tasks. I like that in a demon, an occultist. Management of multitasking is a great skill. No, she blows some dust. She pretends to be Lorraine for 2 seconds, and then manages to get up close enough to, blow some dust into his face, and then he starts thinking, I don't know. He starts chasing after Lorraine, but I don't know what he thinks she looks like.
Yeah, that wasn't really shown. She kept saying in his head, she's trying to make you forget me, remember me, remember me.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe she's
because it didn't really show what Ed was looking at while, he was... Because he had a huge-ass hammer. He was, running around with a hammer, knocking down walls and all sorts of statues and stuff down there. But yeah, I don't understand what he saw that wasn't Lorraine. But, like Sanka said, she was trying to reach out and be like, remember me. It cut to scenes from when they were younger. Our love is strong. She thinks our love is weak. All that mushy good feel. Our love is stronger than evil rhetoric.
Yeah, of course.
Every time.
Eventually she ends up sitting next to the altar, and Ed is over her with the hammer. And just in the last second, he remembers, and then rather than hitting Lorraine, he smashes the altar itself, ends up breaking it, which we found out earlier actually breaks the curse.
Yeah.
So at that point then also Arnie is freed of his possession. He returns back to normal. Ed also returns back to normal. And then we see this lady, the occultist. She comes up in front of them, and what happened to her? Another version of her came from behind her.
Yeah, so the demon that she promised the souls to takes form, looks like her. So pretty much like how Valak in the other movies was able to look like other people, but then the eyes kind of gave it away that she was demonic. Then, Ed was narrating the scene a little bit, going, well, she needs a soul, and you promised 3 souls, and you haven't, you've only given 1, so they need at least 1 more soul. I mean, I would count the dad, because she done killed the dad like that, so that maybe she was going for a bonus 4, bonus 4th soul. But yeah, so this demon comes up behind her, contorts her in front of Ed and Lorraine, because it's got no business with Ed and Lorraine, because the demon was summoned. So the whole premise was that the demon was summoned to do these things. It wasn't actually trying to take possession, because possession and being summoned are 2 different things. And so it came after her and was like, well, you didn't do the things that you got me out here to do, so I'm going to have to take your soul. So bet. Taking that soul. And, it did its weird contorting thing. Her head gets turned around, her bloody limbs get mishapped and misshapen and stuff. And, he snatches his or hers rightful soul and is done with it.
Yeah.
And it's all gone back to normal-ish.
Yeah. So Ed ends up taking the chalice from the altar and takes that back to their museum. Of course, puts it down there. We see, of course, Valak and Annabelle
Annie
in the background.
Annie, are you okay?
Can't do without them.
Okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us? Would you okay? I know she had fun scaring that lawyer lady, that's for sure.
And then we go to the courthouse trial as well of Arnie. He ends up being found guilty for manslaughter, but he only gets 5 years in prison. He ends up marrying Debbie while he's still in prison. And we also get told that they're still married to this day, apparently. So that was nice for them, I suppose. I don't know. I don't think I could take someone back after they've been possessed. Like, what if it comes back?
And then it ends with obviously them playing. The credits have a little bit of the playback of the original tapes, and yeah, we didn't need that and all that.
I didn't need that. I could have.
We thought we were about to relax. To be honest, we thought we were going to come down.
Yeah, I thought I was safe. I was like, yeah,
we were decompressing. We were decompressing, and then we were not decompressing. The tapes were actually even more, like, for me, it was a bit more creepier than like what the first couple of scenes were.
It was all tapes of the 8-year-old boy that was making those noises and, you know, saying all this creepy stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, I know, it was fucking creepy as. But, you know, so that is it. That's the plot line pretty much. So we have some thoughts. Sanka, would you like to start, or would you like me to start, or?
Doesn't really matter.
Okay, let's discuss. Not so much the other, like, the characters that this is affecting. Let's go into Ed and Lorraine real quick. I love y'all down. Like, you are my favorite spooky ooky mystery incorporated couple. Okay, I love that y'all Scooby-Doo all over this place trying to help people. I do. I'm gonna need you to come up with some contingency plans in place, because why is it whenever one of you gets, like, somewhat possessed by something, or something is clouding your judgment, why can't you just ask, if you're not sure if it's them, why haven't you developed a safe word? Why haven't you developed, like, a phrase or a sentence that only you two would know? So if you can be like, you know, what does the cat on the prairie say? And if they can't answer that, you're like, well, boom, you're dead. You know, why do we always... You've been doing this game for about 30 years. How do we not have a safe word, a safe phrase? First of all, come on.
That's true.
Second of all, Ed and Lorraine, y'all have been doing... You know, I don't know, Ed's not an official priest, so he can't technically do a lot of the exorcisms. But what I'm trying to understand is, why are you guys never prepped for this stuff? Like, why do you
Why is there no body armor?
Yeah, why is there no helmets?
Or helmets, or, you know.
Why are there no knee pads, no bulletproof vests? Why are there no chains? Why are you not chaining and sticky taping mofos to tables and stuff? That's what I'm trying to understand. Why do you let the possessed just go have a nap? Because in my head, every time you leave the possessed alone, they become even more possessed. So why are we not chaining people to things? Why are we not having them held down? Why are you relying on people to help chain them down? You know? And second of all, you've been in this game long enough. Why are we only sending one priest? I feel if we had minimum 5 priests chanting, it'd get, you know...
Yeah.
The KPIs would be hit. The KPIs would be hit.
They need more holy water.
And more holy water.
Just shower it in holy water.
Not even
Make
that.
a bath.
Why are we using bottles of holy water? Can you not holy water like a Nerf water gun? Can't we just pistol whip them motherfuckers? Why are we doing... What is going on here? Can we not make a whole water gun holy water? Because you can just sniper that from the distance. You don't have to be up close and personal. Why aren't we... modern problems cause for modern solutions? You know, I'm just trying to understand. Had it been me, I would have had a lot of things in place, personally, to not have old mate be rattling and tattling the way he was. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
The moment he started nonsense, just have like a whole bucket thing on top with holy water. And then as soon as he starts acting up, pull the lever, crunk, and then soak him in holy water. Like, I just think that Lorraine and Ed need to start coming up with some creative ways to get around this.
Yeah.
You know? Get more priests... Hit them KPIs, because I think 5 priests are better than 1. What if your priest gets knocked out? You still have 4 more to go. Like, line them up, batter up. Like, come on, have them ready, Lorraine and Ed. Come on, been doing this long enough, please, and stop going off alone. Every time you guys separate, one of you get hurt,
why do you go
injured,
alone?
Stop that. Go as a pair. A pair. Literally the whole point of every movie is that your love is strong enough to contain things. So why are we separating? Why are we always doing that? Stop that. Stop that. Learn from these behaviors, okay? Besides that, you know, I love them down. They're my favorite spooky ooky couple, okay? Love them to bits. Next character we need to address. I'm sorry, Arnie. I'm glad you got prison time. Because I know you didn't mean to, my dude. I know you didn't mean to kill somebody 22 times. Stab him 22 times.
But you did.
But you did. And I'm glad you went to jail at least for it. I'm glad you didn't get sent, you know, killed for it. I'm glad. Because you didn't mean to do it. It wasn't your fault. It was, though, because you did actually allow the curse to go to you. But I won't bring semantics into it. I really won't.
He asked for it.
He asked for it. But we're not going to victim blame. We don't victim blame on this podcast. No. We don't victim blame, okay? But I'm glad. And what is that daughter's name? Where is she? Sarah, stand up. Stand up, Sarah. Because I'm sorry. You were so right. You were so ride and die for this man before you knew he was possessed. You saw him stab someone 22 times. I know you said he wasn't feeling well and da-da-da, but stand up. You don't think that's weird? What if he had never been possessed? Were you still going to ride and die for him? Is this some Ted Bundy nonsense? Stand up. No. No. And the fact is, how could you even... My thing is, if my partner had murdered someone, how do you go kissing them? Like, you actually killed somebody. I'm not going to mac it with you. I'm not going to stay in the same house as you. All I know, for me, Arnie had just proved that he's a dum-dum. That he's willing to take on demonic curses to help people out. I don't know if he's going to do that for the next maid down the road. I can't rely on that judgment.
But it was for her brother, so...
For her brother, maybe had he listened to the experts, we wouldn't have gotten into the situation we were in now. Also, side note, I'm very glad in this movie no animals were hurt. Thank you, goodness. I'm sick of seeing these animals get hurt. I really am. I don't think that's needed. I think you can imply it. I just don't need to physically see the aftermaths. Okay? But yeah, Sarah, stand up. Stand up. Also, Sarah's parents, who were only in the movie for 10 minutes, allowing your daughter to have to deal with all... As soon as they fixed David, you were like, that's not our business. That's not our problem. Yeah. Arnie, we don't know him. Who's Arnie? We did not see you the rest of the film. No, they were like, peace out. Where were you the rest of the film? No moral support for your daughter. Nothing like that. So, I guess. Who else can get on this list? Look, I'm not going to give any vrim to the occultist because she's just doing what she's meant to be doing. Like, of course she's going to do some bad stuff. That's literally her whole shtick, is to do bad things.
I feel like what could have made this a little bit better is if we'd had a little bit more screen time, like from the point of view of the occultist, like her preparing some like rituals and stuff like that. We saw little snippets through Lorraine, but if we'd seen a little bit more of that, I feel like it could have been a bit cooler.
Yeah. I'm very glad though they didn't explain why she did it, because why would you be into summoning demons?
Yeah, like
something's not correct in your head. That's why. No one just on a Sunday afternoon
nobody has a good reason for that.
No, exactly. So I'm glad they didn't try to be like, oh, she had a traumatic childhood. No. Her daddy was just into defeating evil, and she said, you know what? Evil looks lit. Let me do that. That was just her on a Monday. You know, so whatever. Like, I'm glad they didn't explore that. But I do have some vim. I have some words for her daddy though. Daddy, what's that? Father Kastner, you can get these hands. Because had I been Ed, and I'd found out later that you didn't tell me this was your daughter, which was a great twist, by the way, you knew from jump what that symbol was, and you said stay away from it. Because you've seen your daughter make this stuff up. Oh, so wait a minute, I just realized, was she just running around planting random occult items in random houses just to see what would take?
Yeah, maybe.
Because I just realised all these items, except for Ed, which was targeted, she was just... Yeah. How was she going to know what family moved into that house to get possessed?
Yeah.
Or cursed? So this woman, why would you need an explanation for someone who's just crawling under houses and planting black magic devices? No, It's craziness. We like to garden, we like to colour in, she likes to plant occultist items in random houses and see what happens. That's her weekend. That's her Sunday arvo, okay? And her daddy was wrong for that. Had he lived and I was Ed personally and I got my heart rate under control, I would have gone back and whipped his ass. Ed's better than me. Ed's better than me. I would have gone back and whipped his ass because you could have saved us all this trouble. Nobody else needed to die. No one needed.
Yep.
And here you were with all the knowledge. And then have the audacity to be like, oh, I'm keeping it safe. From who? Your own daughter was the one who was reading all of this like Hermione Granger and became an expert. What? She said, thanks, Daddy. Huh? And you quit 12 years ago. You couldn't have burned a couple of books, used it for some firewood, like gradually gotten rid of it. Like, no, I would have kicked your ass for sure. For sure. And then, to be fair, I thought he was locking Lorraine in when she went to see him the second time. No, he was trying to keep his daughter out to buy some time. And then he really thought he was going to shoot her.
That part surprised me. I thought he was actually in line with the daughter and he was trying to help her out.
Yeah.
But no. I'm glad he wasn't, but still, he should have said something.
Yeah, he should have been like, that's my daughter. I guess he felt guilty when she came back the second time. But you should have, you should have... should have said something. So I'm just reading the cast list of the Devil Made Me Do It. Mm-hmm. So the person who plays Valak in all of the movies, Bonnie Aarons, she's actually in this film for 2 seconds as the demon who comes to contort her very, very slightly. So she is in this movie very slightly. But yeah, no, I did not see that plot twist happening. I thought that maybe he owed a demon, like an occultist something, so he was in cahoots with the occultist, and that's why he didn't get rid of all his stuff. I did not see him having an occultist daughter being the twist.
Same.
It makes sense though. This is why you shouldn't try and force your religion on people, because this shit might happen. They might just do the opposite just to piss you off.
That's true.
Because she clearly had mummy and daddy issues. Clearly. But yeah, no. Besides that, I don't really have much hate for the occultist because again, she's just gonna occult. She's doing what she's meant to be doing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I didn't really hate a lot of I didn't actually have a character I hated besides any of the weird possessed boomer thing that came for Lorraine and Old Mate. That was the only thing I absolutely hate. Arnie, I felt sorry for him, but I didn't at the same time. Like, get forgiven. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know. But no, I think the rest of them were okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, I didn't really hate anyone. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't, and usually, you know me, I'll have like 2 characters that I'm like, I'm glad you died. I'm glad you went through it. No, but this was a good film because it was kind of balanced out. Like, I was kind of annoyed.
No. The only one is the guy who gave the glass bottle to Arnie.
Yeah, that priest. Actually, he can actually... Because what were you actually thinking? What were you... You weren't.
What did you expect?
Like, on suicide watch, here's a glass bottle. And to defend himself, like, no, please have some, like, common sense. No, but this was really good because usually I usually have, like, 1 or 2 characters I just hate. But this was all balanced around. I was kind of mad at the Warrens. I was mad at, Debbie. Didn't really feel that much for Arnie. I'm glad he got charged. The only person I think I can give the title of would get these hands is probably both fathers. The one that gave him the liquid glass bottle and the other one who did not give them the information about his daughter being the one doing all the curses. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
It was a good film.
All in all, it was a really good film. It had me on the edge of my seat.
It did.
I was tense the whole time. I actually had to go and have a nap after the movie because I was so spent. I was exhausted when it finished.
Oh, it was so good though. It was actually this is one of the films I haven't watched a good film in a while, and this hit it on all the heads. And usually,
we've been watching some like solid 2s lately.
Yeah,
and this is like quite high up.
Honestly, I would give it I'm thinking I might give it I don't know a 4 to a 4.5 hotties out of 10. I don't
Yeah.
know, like, because no, I said 10. I meant 5. 4.5. Four and a
Yeah, out
half
of 5.
out of 5, not 10. That would be terrible then.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking too.
Because
It was pretty good. It's
after
still, I don't think it was as good as the first two, but
no,
it was still pretty good.
yeah. To
Yeah.
be honest, and the thing is, we're comparing it to the first two. Had the first two not happened and we opened up with this film, I would probably give it a straight 5 because it
Yeah.
literally it went from the one thing I can say that really bumps it up there to like it being a 4 to a 4.5 out of 5 hotties is that it didn't go with the possession thing. It went with no, a human being did this,
Yeah.
and it wasn't
Yeah.
just a straight we just gonna do a chant and get rid of the demon. It's like no, we actually have to figure out who is doing this and go after them and their altar. And it's not just going to be because I feel like demon possessions are sort of easy, where you just get your priest, you throw your water, you do your Latin, and you kind of the person has to battle through it. Whereas this one is like, no, a human being is controlling it, and until you actually get to them, like they've got the higher ground compared to you. You've got nothing.
Yeah, no, it was good. Oh, I want more movies like this. I don't want the shit ones.
I kind of do, but I kind of don't, because that was a lot. I wasn't ready to be on the side of my seat. I really wasn't.
I mean, also, there was some jump scares, but it wasn't like just jump scares. There was a lot of other stuff that was just creepy and scary in itself without having to make you jump.
Yeah. And that's what I like.
Which was good.
I like movies. I think I'm more freaked out that there are people out there who are actually willing to crawl into your house and plant some nonsense in there just to fuck with you.
Yeah.
I think that's what really scares me. Like, it brings me back to no, people are actually mad. People are crazy. So
it reminds me of also that one that had that couple living in a house and there was someone living in like the basement
in the
was
walls
coming out and doing
stuff.
creepy stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff creeps me out so much because like it could actually happen.
And there have been cases where it has happened, where people are living in people's apartments through their vents and stuff. And at night or when they're not here, they come down and eat their food and all that kind of stuff. Oh.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Oh.
Ugh.
Good grief.
But yeah,
no. It was a good film. I really, really enjoyed it. I did. This is the first movie in a while that I've truly enjoyed most of it, except for, that scene with that big, fat, demonic dead body guy running around. Oh no, she can keep that. But no, I quite enjoyed it. Any thoughts, Sanka? Any final words? What do you rate it out of?
Oh, I'm torn. I think I'm gonna go with 4.5.
4.5 hotties out of 5.
It was up there. I was thinking 4, but if I try and think about ways that it could have been improved, I can't really think of anything. It was really good. I liked, like, the opening was a little bit extra. But it was also, like, there was nothing really that they needed to introduce us to. So it was okay having the exorcism there and then kind of going from there and unraveling it all. So I think that kind of, progression through the story was okay. It was good.
Yeah, I do also have to give props to the filming crew because some of the shots in this film was a little bit different compared to previous shots, which I noted where Arnie's starting to get possessed, and there's a shot where he's got like a mini chainsaw and he's up on a tree at his job, and then the way we go into that scene is that a door has been opened and it's like we're watching it through the occultist demon's eyes as she's walking through, and like I like that perspective. I thought the shot and how they did that was really, really cool and interesting because we're always just seeing it from their perspective, like, they look and then there's something there, then they look back, then it's not there, where it's like it shows us the demon, like not the demon but the person going in and actually setting that scene up, and he can feel it coming. And so I did really enjoy that. And I also enjoyed, I actually was going to say that I thought the pacing might have been a bit slow, but it actually wasn't. It didn't feel, like in the beginning I was like, oh, maybe it's a bit long, but it didn't feel like an almost 2-hour film.
It wasn't like dragged out. It didn't feel longer than it was or anything like that. it was a long movie, but like you say, at one point we were like, oh man, there's still another 40 minutes. But it wasn't like we were getting bored of it or anything like that.
Yeah.
The progression of it was quite good.
Yeah.
It's just there was a lot in there to go through. So I think had it been any shorter, it would have felt
missed
rushed.
some parts, because that's the thing as well. I'm trying to think, what could we have cut out that was not necessary? And I can't think of any scene. Like, we needed the lead up to them going to the person's dad's house to be like, I've got all the stuff. Like, there was so many, because I was thinking, what about the second one where they're trying to find the girl? Did we really need all that? And I'm like, no, we did, because she needed to connect to the body. So there were so many scenes where while we were watching it, I was like, this is kind of unnecessary. But then after it happened, I'm like, oh, actually, no, that makes sense, because how would she have connected to find this lady had she not?
It all kind of tied in together.
Yeah, it tied in really, really well. So no, I'm happy to give The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And you know what the funny thing is? It really wasn't a devil. It was a human being that made them do it.
Mm-hmm.
And which begs to say that we are truly our own devils. We really are. But yeah, I know, I'm happy with a 4 out of 5. Hotties, 4.5 out of 5 hotties for this film.
Yeah, it's good.
But yes, so that's it. Any final words?
No, nothing from me. I'm glad that this is over. I think I will most definitely be dreaming about it for a couple of nights.
Oh, yeah.
But let's hope it's not too bad.
No, yeah. I will definitely be trying to go to sleep straight away tonight. I'm not trying to tussle with my thoughts and have, demonic faces and waterbed scenes show up.
I might just go watch like Moana or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might just put on like a little, Disney film just to chill me out a little bit. I watched Ice Age last night, so I might put Ice Age 2 on to continue a little bit.
Nice.
Just give me a bit of a break, because Disney Plus done snatched that one from Fox too. So if you want to watch Ice Age, all of the Ice Ages, I didn't realize there was more than 4. Jesus Christ, it's like 7 or 8. It's on Disney Plus now, because Disney, our overlords, snatched it from Fox. So there you go. But yeah, no. Besides that, we don't know what the next movie is going to be. We were thinking we would have like a list, but I think we just need to watch what we feel like watching. I think if we try and plan it out too much, it'll become dreadful. Like, I think we need to just... So whatever the next movie is,
we'll see how we feel on the day.
Huh?
Yes. No, I just said we'll see how we feel on the day and go with it.
I mean, we have a long list. There is a long list of films that we need to watch. And I think I sent you the link. All the Conjuring, like the actual Conjuring 4 is being announced. Orphan 2 is being announced. There's a lot of good films coming towards the end of this year and early next year, so they're definitely on our list. But we also, just to note... Oh, sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, we might even look at watching something that's a bit newer, that's recently been released.
Yeah. And we will revisit... I think we are thinking of revisiting some films to just discuss them, because I have a lot of thoughts about... Now that I've just said Orphan, I have a lot of thoughts about Orphan. I really do. I have some thoughts about that film. I have some beef with that film, definitely. And Insidious. I got some beef with Insidious 4, the skeleton key, or the key, or whatever that's called. Got some beef with that film too. I do. And I think there's Insidious 5 coming out, actually. I think I saw that was one on that list. Wow. So
no,
so we got a lot to cover. So, but this is the end of this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, that is, we will see you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. And if you aren't already, follow us on Instagram and have a look at our Patreon page if you'd like to support and subscribe.
Oh my God,
we'll also be listing some stuff on YouTube. So just have a look at all of our links. I think we'll be doing some stuff on TikTok as well. So yes. Follow us, show us your support, and like our stuff. And yeah, give us some suggestions also.
Yes. Thanks, Sanka, for reminding me we actually have all those shenanigans. I totally forgot. But yes, please follow us on everything. Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, YouTube, especially YouTube. And like it, God damn it, if you do. Like it and comment, God damn it. God damn it. But yeah, that's it from us. So signing off. Thank you guys, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.